Welcome back to Better Together podcast, where we get real about what it takes to build businesses from the ground up. I'm Kelly Sundsvold alongside my husband, Sean. We bring you honest, unpolished conversations with small business leaders who are walking through the hard stuff and coming out stronger on the other side. Today, I am incredibly excited to introduce a guest who truly embodies the spirit of resilience and reinvention. Kelly Smith. Kelly is a powerhouse in the world of small business consulting, especially in the elective medical space. She's the founder of a company that once generated over $5 million in revenue. She's authored 5 books and speaks internationally. And when the world turned upside during the pandemic, she didn't lay off a single employee. Instead, she pivoted. With decades of experience on hand in med spas, plastic surgery marketing, and executive coaching, she now helps small business owners find clarity in chaos, from conflict resolution and partnerships to defining KPIs that actually matter. Kelly blends mindset with measurable results. On top of all, she does it all with compassion because she's lived through her own tough chapters. So let's dive right in. So, what inspired you to launch your consulting firm, and how did your personal health journey kind of shape that decision?
Well, thank you for inviting me to be on the podcast, Kelly and
Of
Sean.
course.
Nice to join you. And I think so many people think they see success and they think it's an overnight or a 1 year journey. It's usually a decade or 2 decades. There's usually a few tripping points along the way. It's definitely it's the journey, not the destination kind of a thing. For me, I had a background in corporate and had the opportunity to work with a business consultant that came in to our company, and I got to be the main person to assist that guy in setting up KPIs and putting a growth plan together and coaching the team and pulling things together. And I just thought, wow, I was so in awe of it because he had such a diverse background and it taught me more than an MBA. It taught me more than my MBA. It was amazing training. And after I left that, I ended up opening up my own med spa in Eastern Washington, had my sister join me with that. And we had it for about 5 years. Then I started a family and she started a family. We had 20 employees. We did over $1 million in Eastern Washington in our first year in the basement of a house where the architect was top. We were in the basement of a small little neighborhood. I mean, well, Eastern Washington is the mecca for, aesthetics and cosmetic surgery.
Everything, yeah.
Why not? It's like
Yeah.
it's only snow 6 months of the year and plaid flannel. But other than that, the demos are great.
Yeah.
What I did learn was the demographics. That's one of the first questions that I always get asked from plastic surgeons, dermatologists, med spa, functional medicine. So you're like, what about our demographic? And I've told them stories about working. We've served over 6,000 clients. I've had 50 employees. We've done 5 million a year. We've been in business over 10 years. So we help thousands of clients. So scaling that from my kitchen table, basically, I sold my company when my daughter was 2 because I really wanted to focus on my kids. And I said, I'll never own another company again because I have 20 employees. There was nail technicians, yeah, nail techs, endermology, and we had a injector come in once a month, and I did a lot of hair and makeup and endermology, and it was great because it was that softer side of
Hmm.
business, which I really liked because I grew up in a dance studio, and then I was a certified trainer during college, and I waited tables, and then I went and got my degree and started into business, and I thought, gosh, it would be so cool to do something that really creates self-confidence and in women because outside in, inside out. When you look good, you feel better about yourself. When you feel better
Hmm.
about yourself, you do better things in the world. And then after I sold that, I decided to do real estate, something that I could really balance, well, kind of balance
Hmm.
family and so forth. And then the '08 crash hit. My friends reached out and said, hey, by then I had done some restaurant consulting, hair salon consulting, just projects. I didn't want anything too major. And she asked me to come out and help a couple male surgeons try to grow their practice because they'd been working at it for 8 years and their biggest year was 800,000 and they were doing laser hair removal and vein things and they both needed to replace like $500,000 in income. and
Hmm.
they were
Wow.
spending $20,000 a month in advertising, which in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, that means you get free tickets to every single event ever, and you get billboards, and you're like super famous locally, but you don't get any business. They didn't know marketing, which what doctor knows marketing? Because I
Right.
work with primarily medical professionals, and there's
Hmm.
no business training for them. So when they go into private practice, it's really difficult because they don't know anything about marketing or finance. They like patient care, probably because they didn't want a marketing or a business degree. They wanted to do medicine.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's really, the business just organically grew from that because when I applied KPIs and weekly revenue measurement and cut their marketing down to 5,000 a month, but offer incentives instead of image building with their picture everywhere.
Yeah.
Turns out two middle-aged men on billboards everywhere doesn't sell a lot of cosmetic surgery. Who knew?
Shocker.
Yeah.
Shocker.
So within a couple of years, we were at 4 million and 4 locations and speaking all over the country. And the biggest thing I did was looked at the numbers. I'm more of a numbers, SOP, KPI kind of person. I'm really scaling is what my specialty is. And so I said, we can't get you guys out of call and replace incomes like this without at least doing some kind of minimally invasive procedure. I said, let me have you go learn laser lipo, smart lipo, because it's $5,000 or $10,000 a case. If we're doing 10 cases a week, that's the kind of thing that we can get you
Hmm.
of out of the OR. If you really don't want to be a general surgeon and you want to make money electively, which back then all of that PharmD was coming in and there was a lot of changes with insurance billing. So a lot of traditional doctors were walking out of insurance-based pays. Functional doctors were becoming really popular. And I had cardiologists, neurologists,
Hmm.
I had anesthesiologists, all these people that there's a hierarchy to medical degrees, and it was ones at the top, shockingly, that were jumping out. Now, the ones at family practice were really overworked and underpaid, and they started doing that soon after. But there was a real need of how do we that's a big jump to stop accepting insurance and try to create an elective medical business because now you're talking about customer service, consultation, marketing, selling. No medical doctor likes any of those things. That's not what they went to medical school for. So that's really where the business came from, was with that, just applying what I had done for my own business to theirs and teaching them why it works and really getting over that hurdle of the customer service and the marketing and KPIs.
Yeah.
Usually they go straight into a hospital and all those things are right there for them. They don't even know
Yeah.
that.
It's all built-in systems already that they walk into in that environment versus having to create it themselves. And I think you mentioned something there with like, talking about being a numbers girl, right? And, really kind of diving into the numbers and looking at that. I think, numbers create success, right? And I think for many business owners, they struggle with defining what that success looks like. So how has your definition of success evolved, especially since the pandemic and working with some of these other doctors?
Number one, whenever numbers fall or when finance is the problem, that's the last place people want to look at. They really like to go into denial, get under the
Hmm.
covers, pretend like it's not happening. When numbers are decreasing quickly or you're really in trouble, most entrepreneurs and business owners have trouble looking at them. It's painful. It's uncomfortable. None of us like to do that. When you create monthly goals, but you can quickly measure where you're at every week to project whether you're going to hit your goal or not before it's over. Because when you get your profit and loss, so teaching people to read their profit and losses and set up their chart of accounts in a way that actually gives them executive reports that they could actually make a decision from them. Number one, that's something that I have to teach the accountants to do, the CPAs all the time, how to set up the right chart of accounts with cost of goods so that they can actually see which services are profitable, which ones aren't, right? So they're not set up for that at all. But even when you really understand numbers and really understand a profit and loss, you get your profit and loss. If you've got a really good bookkeeper, you're closed by the 5th to the 10th to the 15th of the month, if not later. But the milk's already spilled. There is nothing to do. It's done. The game's over. You're looking, it's a post-op at that point. There's nothing to do. So really teaching people to set the goals reasonably based on past performance and exactly what they can do with capacity and staffing and to create reasonable goals and to measure the success daily or weekly, depending on what's going on, so that they can forecast how things are going to turn out, or that they desperately need to do something in order to hit that number instead of just borrowing money to pay payroll,
Mm.
That's the biggest change. The very first thing I do is, don't drive your car without a speedometer. Don't expect your navigation to take you somewhere when you have no idea where you're trying to go. If you're not going to look at the gas gauge, then let's not get in the car. I mean,
Mhm.
there's just a few things you really have to pay attention to. And if you just start with the simplest of plan versus performance projected for the month, if you're ahead of schedule there, then you don't have to pay attention to a lot of the other KPIs. But when you're not making towards that, then we've got to look at, well, how many consults do we have on the books? What is our closing ratio? What's our average sale? Is it that we don't have enough leads? Or is it that we can't convert our leads? Or is it that we can't close a consult, or we're closing consults, but the average amount isn't enough? Or is it a whole different problem where we actually don't have enough staff or room to make the money that we need to make to survive with the overhead, right? So it's quickly identifies. That's why every business does have one key number, that if that number's right, then you don't have to get into the rest of the KPIs as much if you don't want to. There's one number. If your revenue is going up, your average sales going up, your average closing ratio is going up, it's not broken.
Right.
Right? So that's more of a, gee, should we expand? Should we get more equipment? What's our capacity potential? What could we do to make more money? People don't often call me with that problem. They're not calling me to say, hey, where can I bury the money in the backyard so that I don't have to pay taxes on it? That's not the call that I get.
Right.
The call that I get is, oh my gosh, I bought a new piece of equipment, I got a new website, and I'm still losing money. It's like, and we've still got the problem of staff training, lead response. Either do we have leads? Can we convert them? Can we close them? Can we retain those clients?
Yeah.
So the biggest thing for especially physicians coming from insurance-based to non-insurance-based, or just owning a business when they've worked at another practice or at a hospital, is clearly identifying what's the monthly goal, how many services do we have to do per room or per type to hit that, and then how are we doing day by day or week by week, so we have enough time to know, should I pay off the balance of like an invoice, or should I just pay the minimum? Should I pay off the whole thing or the minimum? What's my month looking like? Because I know I've got payroll, right? And I know I've got rent. I've got the fixed expenses. So there's that break even number. So you've got to set the goals, number one, over break even, right?
Right.
Which not a lot of businesses even take that step, to be honest with you.
That's so true. That's so true. Like a lot of people just jump into a business and think, I can do this, but they don't understand what it's going to cost them to actually make that money or to try to even get there.
Mm-hmm.
And in this industry, and I think in most small businesses, the most underestimated number is marketing. Marketing gets clients, keeps clients, and grows clients.
That is true.
And if you're not doing those things, you don't need a whole lot of financial oversight because there's not any money to count. You don't need a lot of SOPs because there's nobody to treat or nobody to service.
Right.
You don't need a lot of
Right.
training because you can't afford staff. Like, marketing is a word that a lot of entrepreneurs, they're like, if my product is good enough, if my service is good enough, it's like Field of Dreams. If I build it, they will come. They won't. They won't even know
Yeah.
you're there. In this marketplace, they don't know you're there. And if you get a referral from a friend, the first thing they do is jump on either the website or social media, or they Google you. So marketing, I would say, with small businesses, almost any kind of small business, is an Achilles heel.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We talked to a lot of business owners also that it's like, well, I'll get marketing when I can afford it. And I was like, well, hold on. Let's flip the script a little. One of the things you mentioned, and I just want to kind of loop back for our listeners, because I just thought it was a really good comparison. Sean is our COO, and he's always looking at the dashboards, Really, I loved your comparison to a car, like where you get in your car and you're like, wow, I don't have any gas, or I'm going over the speed limit, or, oh, the check engine light's on. Like, those dashboards can make or break your business. And if your car stops in the middle of the road and you're not looking at the dashboard, it could be you're out of gas. Maybe you didn't fill your oil, whatever the thing is. And so I really love that comparison. And I just wanted to really pull that out for our listeners to really think about when they look at their business, that you need to look at the whole dashboard. Shifting a little bit, because I really thought...
And the navigation, because so many people are upset. It's like, I'm not successful and I want to be successful. Okay, well, what does that mean? Can we define that?
Exactly.
Because your
Exactly.
navigation, if you don't have an address, like you
Mhm.
can't get mad at navigation for not taking you there when you're not sure where you're trying to go.
Exactly. Exactly. So, one of the things that stood out to me, and I was really excited to talk to you again about this, was, during COVID, business was really hard for a lot of small businesses. A lot of families were struggling, but you were able to keep your entire team. That was something you were really committed to doing. And I really thought that was really just a neat piece that you had said in our conversation previously. So, what kind of talk to me through that a little bit? Like what kind of anchored you through that season? What was going on that you were able to do that?
Well, at that point, we were doing about 3 million and we were in through about 30 offices a month on site doing on site sales events, making them $50 to $1,000 in 3 hours. I mean, we're doing a lot of revenue that way. We did do a 6 to 8 week lead up of coaching and marketing before that, but we flew in and we were on site. So we were primarily an on site sales event company. 80% of our revenue came from that. So when COVID hit and you can't get on a plane, you
Yeah.
can't do any of that. Yes, we made virtual events and some of those they were successful, but some of our clients really couldn't wrap their mind around it and weren't open to it. And so here I've got 30 employees and I said, we're going to have to get into digital marketing and building websites and social media management. I'm going to have to do a lot more executive coaching one-on-one than I want to do in order to pick up the revenue slack, until we can get to the other side. So we would have we had webinars, I think about every other week about teaching people about marketing and social media and different ways to operate through COVID and different virtual solutions they could have. And all of those were free, but they brought us people that would then want marketing or social media services and we offered the virtual events and had a lot of successful ones. It really depended on whether some clients leaned into it. Others they just couldn't wrap their mind around that would work. And I had to laugh because I started the company in '09 and I did everything virtual until the day I arrived on site. I was doing Zoom from 2009. My team's been virtual and through the country since 2009. So I already knew that all of my consulting was virtual, all of our coaching was
Yeah.
virtual until we showed up there.
Yeah.
So basically just you try something. It's a lot of pivoting and just
Mhm.
looking at what does the market need. Well, sometimes you got to sell what people want and then give them what they need.
Mm. Mhm.
A lot
What's
of times what they say they want is not what they need. A
right.
Yeah.
lot. But let's sell them what they want and then educate them on why they need to learn
Exactly.
how to run their business. Because that's not what they come for. Every single client has the same thing. I just need more leads. You
Mhm.
don't answer the phone. You can't close a consult. You don't have any staff. Or I need more leads. I'm booked out totally for 8 weeks and I don't have a staff member to do that, but I want you to market the heck out of it. It's crazy. So,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
someone from the outside to ask some questions to help them center, a lot of counseling, a lot of psychology, so that's why it was interesting in working with doctors. Early on, I realized that they would ask me, what do I need to do to fix my business or my website? And I could see because I owned and I helped so many people, but I could tell them the answer, but then they'd tell me everything that they've done that should have done that didn't help that and give me every reason why they already knew everything and there was nothing. So then I decided, okay, wait a minute. I'm going to create a health and physical on their business because they know their business the best and they know everything. So you fill out the health and physical on your business so that maybe silly old me could get some kind of insight as to what might be happening in your business
Yes.
so they could drive the bus. Of
Yeah.
course, all the questions were, finance, marketing, and operations.
Mhm.
It's not, but if you start out with company culture and leadership and top down and look in the mirror, if you don't like your company, no one wants to hear that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So when they can fill out a report card of how everybody else isn't doing their job, and these are all the problems,
Yes.
It's
then
almost like they're probably most oftentimes the smartest person in the room, and you're
always
having to go through and show them line by line how in this moment, they are not the smartest person in the room.
never do that, Sean. The baby's never ugly. No. Baby's never ugly. Nope. They know their business better than anyone else, and they can see the weaknesses in it, which are never their fault.
Right.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right.
Yes. So
Yeah.
during that season, there's so much I'm resonating with what you're saying. We've seen that in our own business. What is something that you're really proud of that happened during that COVID time that you're like, man, I'm so proud of my team, so proud of us. Like, I was really glad I made this decision, something along those lines.
The resilience and the grit of the team to be willing to trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. Because, every successful person fails 10 times to everyone's success.
Yes. Yes.
And people don't see the failures, they only see the successes, And so it's really important for whether you own your own business or you're starting out, it doesn't matter if you're the owner or the employee. I mean, just keep failing forward, and realize that you are learning something along the way, whether you're successful or not. You learn more from the things that don't work than the things that do work, you know?
Hmm.
But if you're measuring your basic KPIs so that at least you're aware of it, you guys have kids?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So it's like, what do you want for dinner tonight? Macaroni and cheese or chicken instead of just like, what do you want for dinner tonight? Those things go very differently.
Yeah. They
So,
do.
teaching receptionists, oh, you'd like to come in for that appointment? Wonderful. Are Tuesdays or Fridays better for you? Mornings or afternoons?
Hmm.
Or what day is best for you? You never say, I'm new, we're open, we don't have a single client. Anytime you want is just fine. Nobody wants to go to the restaurant with anyone in it. So
Right.
explaining to startups, oh, you're not available 24/7. No, no, stop. Stop, drop, and roll and see them. What day is best for you? Great. Morning or afternoon? Great. I have this or this, a 10 or a 12. The most painful thing you can do is ask a middle-aged woman with children, when would you like to come in?
Mm.
Well, Tommy has soccer on Tuesday and Friday, and Annie is busy here, and I could do that, but I don't know if I could get a sitter then. But I mean, I want your soonest available. Okay, well, that's Tuesday at 2. I can't do that. It just goes on. It's like a 20-minute fiasco.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you're the dance teacher or lead the dance. This is a dance,
Mhm.
and let's make it as short as possible.
Yep.
Let's help them help them. Right?
Yes.
I got a little anxiety there for a minute when you were talking about that conversation.
Oh my goodness. So I'm curious, knowing you're working with, I would call them difficult personalities most of the time, right?
For a lot of people, and they're very high performance, very competitive. To get it to pass the MCAT, to become a doctor, to become a
Yeah.
successful doctor, right? I mean, we're talking about the upper echelon of people. They're used to telling people what to do, not being told what to do. You're
Right.
awkwardly suggesting, let's say.
Yeah. It's like leading upward, right? There's that phrase, like you have to lead up sort of in that, yeah, managing up. And so something I'm just thinking about is like when gridlock happens, right? You're, with these personalities, how do you manage through that? How do you work through that?
Well, I have a sociology degree, which is
That
interesting,
helps.
right? It does help because it is a team effort. It does take a village to grow a company. It really, really does. Diplomacy is the way that you present things. And that's why I like to, your company the best. Let's look at your company. Let's look at the areas, what's working, what's not. This isn't really about people or you. This is about the functions that happen in any company to be successful. Try to take the people out of it to some degree. And then, you can make the first million on your own. A lot of people can build $1 million company on their own. You can, I can, you maybe have. When you want it to grow, that's when you have to create SOPs and you have to clone yourself and you have to actually make people want to make you more successful. And that's a completely different skill set than what got them into medical school, up the hierarchy, through the residency, and successful enough to open their own practice, especially when you're looking at plastic surgeons. Surgeons are high up on the totem pole. Dermatologists are very high up on the totem pole. And so really where I appeal to them is out of their greed.
It's a good approach. It's what drove them to start a business probably, right?
Usually, they want freedom,
Mhm.
right? So if they can have life balance and make more money, that's usually the two motivating factors. And that takes growing a team that wants to do things on your behalf. And that requires leadership, not necessarily from the physician, but at least from a manager or a director that's empowered to do so, that's supported by that. Either You are the operations manager or you support the operations manager. If you want to be the operations director, great. You need to be available 24/7. Call the plumber for the toilet. You're doing all the stuff. Turns out not many doctors want to do that, but they do want to second guess, micromanage, change direction, and not trust that person. And then it's hard to keep a director or a manager in place when you don't do that. And so that's where understanding there has to be a clear definition of roles with a organizational chart by function, and nobody gets to step on each other's toes. And there has to be regular meetings with accountability and KPI and milestones, or if you like EOS, entrepreneurial operating systems, if you want to talk about the way that they do it, it's clarity and communication of monthly, quarterly, daily, weekly position descriptions written out that are daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual expectations and KPIs and comp plans that match those things, and productivity multiples that are very available for the industry. It's just they're not aware of it. So that MBA for running a medical practice that's elective is important for them to understand, whether they're the ones implementing it necessarily or not. A lot of times it's their manager doing that, but at least them understanding it and supporting it. So there's got to be a common mission and mutual respect if you don't want to do it yourself.
Yeah. I love that.
Exactly.
Love that.
So, what's something that you wish that small business owners understood about leading, or maybe even leading in uncertainty? Because nothing is guaranteed. You can start a business not during the pandemic and on a bright, sunny, happy day, and things are hard. So, what is something that you wish more small business owners understood?
Yeah, tomorrow is not guaranteed, and anybody can get unjustly sued, or someone can slip and fall. Like any kind of thing can happen. You could get hit by the big red truck. You don't know, like your main person can.
Yeah.
So I think number one, you do have to have a fairly good understanding of your business plan, your revenue goals, your KPIs, and the position descriptions. You have to hire for personality and train for skill sometimes,
Yeah.
a receptionist that is really super organized and great at CRM and keeping stuff on the shelf, but doesn't actually like people. It's just, not going to work.
Yeah.
So Steve Jobs had an interview and he talked about it was his job to make sure he knew people's super strengths and he had them in the right position. And the biggest thing that I find with small business owners, and that's a loose term because anything under $50 million is considered a small business, but I'll say 10 million
Right.
under to me is a
Yeah.
small business. The common mistake I hear a lot is, we're a small business. I need everybody to know everything. So if someone's sick, we can all cover all the holes. And that's so unrealistic. Even if you have 5 different 1099s, but one's the video editor, one's the marketing, one's the, you cannot expect everybody to wear all the hats all the time.
Right.
And so the biggest mistake I see with startups is, instead of paying people to be there a couple days a week or to come in once a month to do certain things, they might think that one employee can do 5 different things. So by really creating your organizational chart and being sure that you put function, you can have the same name in 3 or 4 different boxes as long as they're suited and skilled to do that.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And it's clear versus, oh, my receptionist is sick today, so I had my scrub tech that likes to be in the back that scrubs instruments 8 hours a day, all day long, and never talks to anyone. She was the worst receptionist ever. I'm going to let her go. It's like, she doesn't like people. She wants to be in the back cleaning instruments. Like, take your receptionist back there for a week. She'll quit too.
Yeah.
But it's such common sense. I mean, it does sound really silly, but I could do a comedy skit for I don't even know how many episodes of, I need more leads. I need more injectable leads. I mean, I'm booked out for the next 6 weeks and my injector's never here and I don't have another one, but I mean, I don't have enough leads. It's like, do you hear what you're saying?
Right.
Clarifying your plan, putting it down in writing, maybe collaborating with a few people. It's really helpful. And the other problem is just, if you don't like going to work and you don't like the people there and you feel like they've got bad attitudes, you have to look in the mirror. Because the owner creates its top-down energy, and
Have you heard the phrase? What is it? The organization takes on the mentality of the owner, right?
it does. It's just like children and parents.
Yeah.
Because 99% of all behavior is mimicking.
Yes.
So if
Yes.
That
you're
is
not going to
very
show up
true.
on time, if you're not going to be accountable, if you say you're going to hold weekly or monthly meetings and you don't, if they know there's no cameras watching anything and you never take inventory, why are you surprised when you're getting stolen from?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And all this stuff sounds really basic, but the three of us on this call, and probably a lot of people who are listening to this, have experienced this in their jobs
Hmm.
or they're experiencing it currently. It's amazing. It's just,
And if they are, sometimes you have to clean house. Sometimes you've had someone there a long
right.
time, you've given them a raise and raise and raise, and maybe you've gotten them into the wrong position or you're overpaying, and that's a very painful switch to make. But when I've had to do that, I've been shocked at the way the team rallies around. When the team knows you should let someone go and you haven't done it, they
Hmm.
lose respect for you. And when you finally do it, they will support you and
Mhm.
rally around and pick up the slack even
Yeah.
out of
Mhm.
appreciation that you've gotten the cancer out or the bad apple out or the negative one maybe, you know.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a hard, coach them up or coach them out, hire slow or fast. We hear all these things.
But
Yeah.
putting them into practice.
Yeah, you have to act on it, and that's sometimes very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm curious. You've been doing this a while, and I'm sure you've met a lot of business owners who I mean, it's a common thing, I think, as a business owner to feel like you're failing, right?
Mhm.
What advice would you give to somebody who's in that mentality, and maybe especially when the numbers that they're putting up don't reflect the effort they're putting in? Because I mean, most business owners I know, they're putting in 50, 60, 70 hours a week, right? But when the outcome of what's happening in their business doesn't reflect that, how do you kind of work through that with them?
Well, I think there's very few owners that are really good at all three key areas of running a business, meaning operations, finance, and marketing. So you have to surround yourself with people who are stronger than you are at those weaker areas. And you have to empower them, trust them, manage them, and stay on top of it to really create something if you're trying to go over 1 million, let's say. But delegating is clarifying exactly what you need, training someone to do it, following up and coaching them until you realize it is or is not going to work is something that not very many people are able to do.
Mhm.
So we get into this thought of if it's going to get done right, I have to do it. Or
Mm.
it's easier to do it myself than to teach or delegate. And it won't work. The 30-minute manager you can listen to for free on YouTube. And there are so many pearls in that. I mean, just very basic. It really isn't complicated. It's in the implementation of it. And sometimes, when you get clarity of when you really do have the courage to look at the real numbers that you have to make in order to be profitable,
Hmm.
and you look at how many clients or services it would take to do that, and maybe you hire a consultant to help you if it's too uncomfortable, because sometimes it really
Mhm.
truly is so uncomfortable
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you did it because you were passionate about it. Well, some people do, but 80-20. 80% of the people open a business because they're passionate about what it provides people or they're passionate about doing it, right? So if I'm a
Mhm.
fabulous painter and I can create amazing painting, why would I expect that I would also be a great CFO and a great COO and a fabulous marketer? I'm an
Right.
artistic painter.
Right.
Right.
Unless I want to keep all my paintings, someone's going to have to help me sell them and account for the accounting and run the
Mhm.
business because,
Yeah.
especially creatives, right? There's a lot of AI things that help you, but if you don't understand what you're trying to do, AI is not that helpful. It's kind of like calculators on a quiz. If you actually don't understand you don't really understand the
Yeah.
formulas,
Yeah.
calculator can get you in a lot of trouble, right?
Yes. Yeah. That's a good
So
comparison.
I have people that'll run all these reports for me and they don't even total them or percentage them. I was like, now what decision making do you think you're going to get from this report that you just made for me?
Yeah.
I don't have totals. I don't have monthly averages. I don't have percentages. I don't have percent of anything. Like, thank you for this list. Executive thinking is if you're artistic or if you're a fabulous hair designer, let someone else set up your website and your online booking and your Stripe account and pay someone a couple days a week or trade free free hair services. Plus, it doesn't have to be full time, but we have to be able to do a SWOT analysis on ourselves. These are my strengths. These are my weaknesses. Here's how I cover them. And that's what I see, especially in startups. We feel like we have to do everything ourselves. And then once you do it, you keep doing it and it gets away from you and it grows
Yeah.
too big and you can't keep your arms around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it causes the
Yeah.
business to suffer on the back end, right? Because you're holding on to it for so long that,
Even
at
though you're
some point,
terrible at it.
exactly. And it's probably the thing that for that are keeping people up at night, right? Like that's the business owner that's at 3 a.m. that can't sleep because they're thinking about 50,000 things that they have to do when, a conversation of how do I delegate A, B, and C could make all the world.
And it's the chokehold on up growth. Every business that struggles to grow, it's always the owner that's causing that chokehold of expansion because they're just not sure. And whether it's delegation or trust or knowledge, so getting a business consultant that understands your industry, I think that's really key though. That's why I've helped restaurants, I've helped realtors, I've helped other businesses, and I understand some businesses better than others. And I can do executive coaching for a lot of different business types. But when it comes down to really knowing everything there is, and I've owned it myself, I've done it with my own money, I know all the ins and outs, I've been to thousands of practices, like there's nothing I don't know about this. And so I can help the accountant set up the chart of accounts, or I can help people understand how to look at whether it's a good business to buy or how to set it up to be successful. I would say that in, checking references and everything, depending on what niche you're in, is really important. Or if you want to, and not everybody has to be full time. And there's Fiverr and there's Upwork and there's all of these ways that you can lean into part-time contractors so that you don't have to understand everything about funnels and marketing and the latest AI,
Yes.
and marketing is the biggest. I feel like back to that marketing thing, it changes and grows so fast that I feel bad for my clients that are hiring marketing companies. They do not understand what they are trying to buy. They really don't. It changes so quickly. And that's so frustrating for anyone in that position, right? Because you're just so I think by hiring professionals with their 10,000 hours, like we could all learn to be good stockbrokers, or we could hire a good stockbroker and double check some things and make sure we knew the basics. But those 10,000 hours, if you can get contractors to do anything nowadays. Have them come 1 day a week, 1 day a month. Like let someone do the part that you honestly do not understand about your business.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pass it off to someone who's smarter, knows more, is expert in that field for
It's the
sure.
expertise. And I mean, if you
Yeah.
have a passion to learn it, that's okay. But do you have the time to effectively do it every single
Right.
week? Because it's
Yeah.
the truth to being successful is doing the boring crap every day, year after year after year after year. It's not fun. The
No.
startup is fun. The scaling is fun.
Yeah.
The mundane, checking your KPIs and nurturing people and growing people year after year after year.
hmm
Yep.
That
Yeah, exactly.
that can
And
get
I don't
challenging.
Yeah, and it's like, like you mentioned marketing, like obviously like that's our field of expertise and like I'm always in it every single day and it's like, I'm sometimes we'll meet business owners who'll be like, "Oh, we don't have money for marketing right now," or whatever. I'm dabbling in marketing, I'm learning about it, I'm reading about it. And I there's a piece of me that feels really bad because I'm like, you're treating it like a hobby. And like I'm doing this every day and in this and learning the tools and learning all this stuff, just like you're learning about your business. If you produce something or you have customers or service, like I don't, those are areas, those are
You're wrong.
areas.
They were all bad leads. They're all
Yes,
bad
all bad
Right.
leads.
Right.
I mean, I haven't listened to the phone calls where my receptionist said some really crazy things, or we didn't answer any of the calls, or we didn't respond to any of the leads. But you know what? They were bad leads.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So kind of wrapping this up, how can people find you?
Projectedgrowthconsulting.com is our website. And then I have the MBA for med spa. So it's called the Med Spa Growth Accelerator. It really is for any functional wellness, derm, chiro, anybody that's doing a combination of elective. It's kind of just really applying everything to that niche. And I just felt like the narrower the niche, the more specific,
Mm-hmm.
that I could be. I work with executive coaching to help people figure out if they're going to sell or get two people on the same page to, build their vision. And that I can do for any kind of business. The executive, I guess it's executive marriage counseling, right? Giving them the basics. Someone has never 50-50. Someone's got to have a way to make a decision. If you're going to work with family, make sure you really, really, really have those position descriptions clear so you don't step on each other's toes, right?
Absolutely.
Things like that, just the
Yes.
basics. But people, they really do need a business plan with revenue goals and a path to get there and some direction. And you can do a lot of that with help of Chat GPT now, and you can
Mm-hmm.
speed up a lot of those things. But you still have to have some sort of idea where you're trying to go and a way to measure if you're going the general right direction or not before it's
Right.
too
Yeah.
late, before the train's off the tracks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they really are struggling and they just can't seem to make sense of it, it's worth talking to someone and figuring out if maybe they aren't trying to create the right kind of business. I do help people with startup ideas and help them decide not to do it, or they're going to buy a business and I show them what it's really worth and they make a different decision. Or maybe they are ready to sell and they think they just need help growing it, but they're really just kind of want to be done with it. And those are questions
Mm-hmm.
that you need to stay clear with yourself, because sometimes you really are ready for a different challenge or journey,
Mm-hmm.
and that can be what makes it so hard to get in and motivate yourself and others, and then it starts coming through the company,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you really don't want to do it anymore and you can't figure it out. There's people that can help you with that too, like
For sure.
a way to exit or transition, and sometimes that's necessary.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom on, on this podcast. I appreciate it. There was a few nuggets in there that even I'm going to take away and store away and share. And I appreciate all the advice that you gave to our listeners. Thank you so much for being on here.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for inviting me, and it's nice to talk to both of you. Thank you, Sean, as well, and much luck with your marketing company. I mean, it's fun because there's always something new, something
Oh, yeah.
different, and there's new AI
Totally.
to put in there. I mean, that's what I love about the wellness and aesthetic industry. There's always new options, new
Yes.
services. There's always fun things, and so I like it
Hmm.
when you're in a sector of the business industries where there's new things to get excited about.
Yes. Keeps you
Definitely.
sharp. Keeps you sharp. So, well, thank you so much. Right,
Thank you.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.